Nintendo has always been the safer, more kid-friendly route when it came to video games, and I think the reason that they're even still relevant today is because their insane track record of bangers. But it's also pretty common knowledge just how laughably terrible their business side of the company is, getting involved in multiple scandals, controversies, whatever the hell this is, you name it. Even with their infamously strict rules and regulations, Nintendo has slipped up and stirred the pot quite a damn bit. So I researched a lot of Nintendo's history and wrote down every single controversial thing that the company has done or been involved with that I found even remotely interesting, from both real-life problems and in-game stuff, and I constructed this big-ass chart. If you're above 50, an Iceberg chart is essentially just a big tier list of little trivia and factoids that go from basic common knowledge to obscure and sometimes even weird or creepy shit. So sit back and relax as I walk you through the Nintendo Controversies Iceberg chart. Mario Party Tug of War. When Mario Party 1 came out in 1998, it pretty much opened the floodgates immediately to both the argument-starting horseshit that is Mario Party, and also the minigame Tug of War. In this 1v3 minigame, both teams must rotate the joystick as fast as possible to pull the other team to their well-deserved demise. But people realized you can actually spin the stick faster by using the palm of your hand, which ended up giving people extreme blisters just from this one Mario Party minigame, which led to lawsuits, which is a Nintendo staple. So much so that Nintendo had the genius idea to give out special gloves to customers to fight back against blistering. Yes, Nintendo gave out gloves for a Mario Party minigame. And in every Mario Party since that Tug of War has made a reappearance, the instructions of the game now include a little warning advising players to not use their palms. So long, gay Bowser. A huge debate that's been going on for literal decades at this point is, what does Mario say when you throw Bowser in Mario 64? So long, gay Bowser. Which led every human under the sun to hear so long, gay Bowser. So long, gay Bowser. Spawning so much notoriety and memes that it essentially became like pseudo-canon. However, the now former voice of Mario, Charles Martinet, confirmed that the line was instead "So long, King Bowser." So long, Gay Bowser. When Mario 64 was re-released in the Mario 3D All-Stars game, the "So long, Gay Bowser" line was just straight up replaced with a much more boring and simple "Bye-bye." Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass quality. 10 years after the release of Mario Kart 8, Nintendo dropped the bombshell announcement that 48 additional courses were going to be added to the game, doubling it in size. Which was amazing until people actually saw the courses for the first time and... Yeah, so the Booster Course Pass was pretty obviously used by taking assets directly from Mario Kart Tour, a mobile game that looks like ass, and porting them to the console, which makes just a jarring comparison of the photorealistic base Mario Kart 8 game with the graphics of the Booster Pass. Over time, the backlash became so extreme that Nintendo even went to go tweak a few stages. Keyword being a few free updates. During the Switch lifespan, Nintendo strived for a new business strategy of releasing games purposely with missing content that they would then release over the coming months as free updates and DLC as a way to keep their games alive. However, this pretty much had the exact opposite effect, because instead of this being a way to prolong a game's lifespan, it just shortened it. Because now when you bought a new Nintendo game and you're shown the lackluster amount of content, people just got bored of the games earlier than hell and just moved on and didn't care when those free updates ended up coming out. ARMS, Nintendo's newest fighting game IP, launched with only 10 fighters, which even then just later became 15. Kirby Star Allies introduced little helper characters known as allies, and there's almost 40 of them in the game. Guess how many there were when the damn thing released? 3. Pretty much every Mario sports game has had this problem of introducing new characters months after release. And probably the most aggravating example of this was when Mario Maker 2 happened, which essentially was just the first game with just an extra style and just like a new item or two here and there. Kind of just, it pretty much was a port. But then several months later, the game then got an update with the ability to create your own worlds that you can travel between and essentially make your own full-on Mario game. But since they introduced this so late in the game's lifespan, nobody gave a shit anymore. Which this feature certainly would have locked in more sales for the game, but just no one knew about it and nobody cared because they all moved on. Nintendo still does this updating game shtick to this game, except now it costs money. Fantastic. YouTube OST copyrights. In a signature business move from Nintendo, they decided to copyright and take down over 90% of all videos on YouTube that show their game's OST. Playlists of Zelda game soundtracks, Mario Kart soundtracks were all removed off of YouTube almost simultaneously a few years back, which didn't stop people from just re-uploading it. Pokemon Sword and Shield graphics. When it was announced that a mainline Pokemon game would be coming to Switch, fans were justifiably hype as shit, with mainly its biggest reason being that this is the first ever mainline Pokemon game in HD, as well as the first console Pokemon game since the Wii U only had spin-offs. But when Sword and Shield released, fans were met with one of the most unfinished, buggy, and just flat out just terrible games ever, where the graphics were worse than that they had been on previous entries in the handhelds. Look at this tree. That's a tree from the game. Fire Emblem Curtain Censorship. In Fire Emblem Awakening, there was a quick scene showing a sort of lewd image of the character Tharja, putting on underwear. In every release of the game, it looked like this, but in only America exclusively, her ass was covered by a random curtain, pissing off more people than you would think. This isn't the only use of censorship in the entire game, as there's even a piece of dialogue that was censored and changed that said, "And they said they bet your boingy bits are as white as snow and soft as pillows." Fire Emblem and Smash. I think it's pretty safe to say that Fire Emblem is a dominantly Japanese audience game. Pretty much everywhere else in the world, nobody really gives a f***, which spawned a lot of controversy in Smash Bros. When they decided to add 8 Fire Emblem characters to the roster, all of which just being sword users, and 5 of which being borderline copy and paste blue-haired sword fighters, leading to the frustration that characters like Crash, Waluigi, Doomslayer, Rayman, and any second Sonic character were all put to the side to make way for f***ing Corrin. Electric Soldier Porygon. This is a nice one. This one is happy and friendly. The 38th episode of the Pokemon anime had an infamous and banned episode titled Electric Soldier Porygon. The reason for this episode's ban was due to multiple scenes, with one particular one that featured intense red and blue flashes, causing hundreds of Japanese kids to all have seizures on the spot, sending them all to the hospital simultaneously in an event now known as Pokemon Shock. The anime ended up having to take a 4-month hiatus, as well as completely removing the character of Porygon from the entire show. Stricter broadcasting regulations were then also set in effect for all TV following this incident. If you don't have any problems with seizures and are curious what the scene looked like, here's what it looked like. But like I said, if you have a problem with seizures, don't look at it, because it's brutal. Breaking TVs with a Wii remote. Back in the late 2000s, there was a borderline epidemic of people accidentally throwing their TVs, accidentally throwing their Wii remotes at their TVs while playing their brand new Wiis. Typically with Wii Sports Bowling was the most common one. This is the exact reason why Nintendo had all Wii remotes come with a little strap-on. Listen, a bit of hindsight on Nintendo's part, but people just completely ignored it anyway and accidentally smashed their TVs regardless. Breath of the Wild weapon durability. When Zelda Breath of the Wild first released, one of the biggest complaints fans had was how obnoxiously strict the weapon durability was in the game, having so many of your weapons and tools break so quickly after only a few uses. When the game first came out, this pretty much was the biggest problem. Bayonetta 3 voice actress. The original voice of Bayonetta, Helena Taylor, would famously not be returning to voice Bayonetta in the upcoming third installment. The reason would be given in a now infamous video of Helena, claiming that Platinum Games was offering her an offensively low amount of money for her contribution in voicing the main character, claiming that Platinum only offered her $4 grand for the entire thing, which was then proven false because Platinum themselves said that they would only pay her $4 grand per session, which did equal up to about maybe 20 grand range. Helena said no to this and demanded that she'd be paid 6 figures with residuals. Platinum obviously said no and replaced her, leading Helena to make the now infamous video falsely accusing Platinum of offering her only 4 grand, and even encouraged fans to boycott Platinum Games and Bayonetta 3, as well as starting essentially a harassment campaign against her replacement, Jennifer Hale. Essentially just making everyone know that Bayonetta's original voice actress is a giant piece of shit, more than likely killing her career in the process.
And I would like to explain to you why I didn't voice Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta franchise made an approximated $450 million. That's not including merchandise. As an actor, I trained for a total of 7.5 years. 3 years at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, Lambda, with voice coach Barbara Barkery, and 4.5 years with the legendary Larry Moss in Los Angeles. And what did they think this was worth? What did they offer to pay me? The final offer to do the whole game as a buyout, a flat rate, was $4,000 US. This is an insult to me. The amount of time that I took to work on my talent.
Big House / Free Melee. Back in 2020, the Big House, a massive tournament of Super Smash Bros, was canceled at the last second due to the Big House receiving a cease and desist from Nintendo due to the tournament using an emulator, which is like the biggest sin to them. Everyone was outraged, not only due to the overall just inconvenience of it, but large amounts of money was put into this. They paid for a venue, bought plane tickets and hotels. Holding a tournament to this scale was such a huge commitment in both a money and time aspect, and Nintendo just said "F y'all" last minute, all because an emulator was being used. This led to the hashtag Free Melee spreading around Twitter like wildfire. Smash 4 ESRB leak. On a lighter note on Smash Bros, the ESRB leak was the biggest and actually real leaks in Nintendo history. A user posted essentially everything about the upcoming Smash 4, more specifically Smash 3DS. They posted this image of all fighters in the series with an X through the characters who were not going to be returning and would get cut, with Mewtwo having a question mark who would later be turned into DLC. Everyone took this with a grain of salt until the same guy revealed the bombshell of just everything. The entire stage select, the character select, multiple menus were all unveiled months before they were actually meant to be. Almost every single Smash 4 newcomer was spoiled in this. And when the official Shulk reveal was released, it confirmed that the entire leak was real. Mother 3 USA. Mother 3 is the only game in the Earthbound series that Nintendo just refuses to release outside of Japan. For decades, fans have begged Nintendo to release this game to the West, and for unknown reasons, they never have, and to this day still have not. Also, with no even reason given, Lavender Town. This entry refers to an eerie location in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow known as Lavender Town. You ever heard of it? Which is a graveyard for Pokemon. Lavender Town actually became an urban legend and a creepypasta due to its haunting music in the game. The urban legend states that some people who listen to the song that plays in the background while at Lavender Town have horrible nightmares, headaches, and even slipper slide thoughts. I can't say that word. As well as some saying that there are some frequencies in the music that only some can hear. Take a look! If you want to off yourself later, now you can blame me. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Rareware, a company who frequently partnered with Nintendo and is responsible for almost all Donkey Kong games, decided to make a game for the Nintendo 64 that is designed to look like any other happy-go-lucky platformer Nintendo game, but was not. This was known as Conker's Bad Fur Day. What made the game different, however, was that Conker was actually a rated M game, featuring the characters pissing, swearing, getting drunk, as well as a lot of suggestive looking characters and even a boss entirely made out of shit.
I am the great mighty Pooh, and I'm going to throw my shit at you.
Smash Bros. Brawl tripping. When Super Smash Bros. Brawl was in development, Nintendo wanted to stray away from the competitive side of Smash Bros. For their next entry on the Wii, and by doing this, they implemented a mandatory feature to the game where characters would randomly trip and fall during gameplay. This controversial decision was to solidify that Smash Brawl would be an exclusive casual game, and for some reason, this is the shit Nintendo does that purposefully alienates large percentages of their fans solely for their own stupid, nonsensical reasons. And after obviously heavy backlash, the tripping mechanic never returned. Joy-Con stick drift. The most infamous and obvious flaw with the Nintendo Switch is that the controllers, the Joy-Cons, have an almost guaranteed ability to become unusable due to the sticks of the controllers getting stuck in certain directions. Nintendo has had this problem since day one, and to this day they have done nothing about it. They even faced several lawsuits over the whole stick drift problem, and yet the controllers still just have it. -8 Anka animations. This is fucked. This cat plagued the internet during late 2021. And I think you might know why. -8, an animator known for making not safe for work and porn animations, created a porn animation of the Animal Crossing character Anka. The Anka animation would appear several times in TikToks, YouTube videos, meme compilations. It was everywhere and unavoidable. If you've ever seen this bouncing house before, that's the one. Nintendo Switch 2 launch. The Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo's newest console as of the time of making this video, launched with a lot of worries and controversies, all for the one simple reason: the price. The console itself wasn't really drawing a whole lot of eyes because of the price, but what was the games. That's a lot of was's. I say what in the butt? Mario Kart World launched by itself at an unheard of $80 price tag, the most expensive mainstream singular game ever made up to that point. Not only that, but Nintendo's Welcome to Nintendo Switch 2 demo game sold for $10. A virtual instruction manual to teach you about the console that you just bought and its features was an additional $10 purchase. New amiibo that released were almost triple what they used to cost, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, also costing $80, had a new mode come out as DLC for an additional $20. Nintendo has pretty much been the most greedy and insane with their prices that they have ever been this generation, and I can't wait to see how it goes from here. Super Mario Kart Champagne. In the Japanese versions of Super Mario Kart, winning a Grand Prix as Bowser or Peach would feature them drinking champagne during their victory. Just kind of badass. Mexican Mario. Before the release of Super Mario Odyssey, Mario could be seen wearing a sombrero on the box art. This caused a lot of backlash, claiming it to be racist, and when the game officially released, the art of Mario was later changed. No Smash 4 campaign. After the acclaim of Smash Bros. Brawl Story Mode, the Subspace Emissary, fans were speculating what would be the next campaign in the next Smash game. However, it was then revealed that Smash 4 would just straight up not have a campaign or story mode and simply focus on the gameplay of just the regular fights. Fans were worried that this would lead to Smash 4 being the first ever failure in the series. The reason for the story mode being cut was due to creator Masahiro Sakurai not wanting the cutscenes to leak online. So he just cut the mode out entirely then. That works, I guess. Mario 3D All-Stars Limited Time. For Mario's 35th anniversary, Nintendo released Mario 3D All-Stars, a bundle game that combines Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. What made the controversy happen, though, is that Nintendo had the bonehead decision to release the game only for a limited time, meaning after a short period, it would be fully removed off of the digital eShop store. It would be fully removed off of the digital eShop. It would be fully removed off of the. Shut the fuck. It would be fully removed off of the digital eShop store. I still fucked. As well as all physical copies no longer being for sale. You had to either get it right now or go fuck yourself. They did something similar to this at the same time with a game called Super Mario 35, an online-only game where 35 real-life players all play Super Mario Bros. At the same time to race to the finish. And also, for no reason at all, Nintendo shut down the ability to play this game only after a few months, and everyone loved it. Galaxy 2 in 3D All-Stars. On the topic of Mario 3D All-Stars, a lot of fans were also upset when it came to the reveal that Mario Galaxy 2 2 would just not be featured. Some say that it was due to technical challenges or that time restraints got in the way, but the more believable option was that it just simply would look a lot cleaner and nicer to just have the 3 giants instead of the package being half Galaxy. A few years later, Galaxy 2 did actually release for the Switch as to hype up the second Mario movie. PETA Mario kills Tanuki. In 2011, the animal rights activist and worldwide douchebag PETA created their own Flash game about Mario killing a Tanuki. In the game, you play as a skinned Tanuki and chase Mario to get his skin back. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet bugs. When the game Pokemon Scarlet and Violet released in 2022, fans were shocked by the sheer amount of bugs and glitches that were present in the final game. Characters would fall through the ground, models would be all twisted, and just whatever the hell this is. The game to this day seems to have those exact same glitches and bugs occur with almost no fixes ever being made. Smash Bros is for good boys and girls. When it was revealed that a character from Fatal Fury was going to be joining the Smash Bros roster, one character by the name of Mei Shirrako Mei was questioned on even if she'd be allowed to join the game due to her suggestive and revealing outfit. Sakurai would actually bring this up, simply saying that she cannot make an appearance in Smash Bros because, quote, Smash Bros is for good boys and girls. Super Mario Logan. This fucking guy and topic has enough to make a whole video on it, but Super Mario Logan, or SML, is a creator on YouTube who filmed himself playing with Mario plushies as a kid and creating his own stories with them and giving each character their own separate personality. As time went on, Logan got better at making these videos, and as the show turned much more adult and R-rated, it essentially turned into a sort of Nintendo-themed South Park. However, later they would introduce an original character by the name of Jeffy, who would be Mario's adopted son. In one of Jeffy's earliest videos, he is seen hanging a noose. Supposedly, this led to a kid in real life tying a noose and therefore caused a domino effect, leading to kids on Good Morning America to blame Logan and Super Mario Logan for making content that looks like it's for kids since it features Nintendo characters, when in reality it's a very obvious adult show, having characters swear, making sex jokes, featuring racial stereotypes, and just a whole lot more. Which is honestly kind of stupid, because that's pretty much the equivalent of looking at South Park and then seeing it as this colorful cartoon and then just assuming that it's for kids and then blaming the creators when they use a swear word. Eventually, this ordeal led to Nintendo themselves sending SML a cease and desist for using their characters, and since then, all characters in Super Mario Logan had their names and appearances changed. Mario Kart Tour loot boxes. Nintendo created the Mario Kart for mobile phones Mario Kart Tour, which would feature the characters driving in real-life locations while also having the largest character roster in pretty much any game ever made. The problem came with exactly how you go about unlocking the characters in the game. Since it was a free mobile game, it was chocked full of microtransactions, and these microtransactions were pretty much required to get almost anything in the game. The game forces you to do these cheap loot boxes where you have to spend real-life money just for the chance to unlock something new. The whole unlocking mechanic itself pretty much killed the Mario Kart Tour and has turned its entire existence into a giant laughingstock. Reggie Fils-Aimé's chair. Reggie Fils-Aimé, the former president of Nintendo of America,
my body is ready,
posted this image online showing all the cool trinkets and collectibles that he's collected in his office throughout the 13 years he's worked at Nintendo. What sparked a controversy with this was actually the chair he was using. Eagle-eyed viewers noticed the chair and found out that the exact style and brand of the chair is actually extremely cheap, terrible, uncomfortable, and massively outdated, leading to the discussion as to why the literal president of Nintendo is using a chair that is so terrible. The exact chair in question isn't even sold anymore. Nintendo. Nintendo was the marketing campaign that Sega used during the Sega versus Nintendo video game war in the 90s, when both the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo were releasing. So many of Sega's ads feature the tagline, "Genesis does what Nintendo don't." And what is that, you may ask?
Lose.
Mario Party 8 Spastic. A line in the game Mario Party 8 read as "Magic-Koopa magic, make the train go spastic." This led to an immediate outrage in the UK, as the word spastic was actually highly offensive and was frequently used as a word to mock disabled people. The game was recalled immediately, and all future copies had the words changed to erratic. Night Trap. This game, unironically, is a major part of gaming history. In 1993, the game Night Trap released for the Sega Saturn, spawning controversy almost instantly as the game used actual video for its cutscenes and featured a high amount of violence and women in lingerie, leading some to say that it promotes violence against women. The game was pulled from shelves by retailers and even banned in some cases. The controversy was so massive that even the US Senate got involved.
The game is Night Trap, which is a game set in a sorority house. The object is to keep hooded men from hanging the young woman from a hook or drilling their necks with a tool designed to drain their blood. Night Trap uses actual actors and achieves an unprecedented level of realism.
Guys, you gotta help me, please. Use the traps. Now! The wall crash! Yeah! No! All right, you were perfect. Nobody's ever done that. I knew I could count on you.
And achieves an unprecedented level of realism.
And because of that, the gaming industry would be introduced to a brand new concept, the ESRB rating system. These little letters that appear in the corner of all video games to ever exist happened because of Night Trap. Now you might be thinking this is more of a Sega controversy than a Nintendo one. And you would be right, but I felt the need to include it. One, because it's interesting as shit, and then two, because of just this.
And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
Yeah, see how well that worked out. Smash Ultimate Byleth reveal. This essentially goes off of what I said earlier about the overuse of Fire Emblem in Smash Bros, but what made it even more so, and essentially the final straw, was the reveal of the character Byleth, our now 5th blue-haired sword fighter from Fire Emblem. The moment Byleth specifically was confirmed, it sparked an immediate global eye roll. Constant memes and genuine anger from some due to the fact that Byleth was the final DLC character to be released, meaning it all ended on the most disappointing note ever. There would later be a second wave of DLC released, but at the time, we didn't know that. And we were just left with the sheer disappointment that out of this entire massive roster, it just ends with another blue-haired sword fighter from Fire Emblem coming to Smash Bros. Tears of the Kingdom UK reveal. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, essentially, was the next big Zelda game to be released. And with its title, Tears of the Kingdom, everything seemed fine until... Oops! So the Queen of the United Kingdom died at pretty much the exact same time that the game was revealed. Tears of the Kingdom was revealed. And because of this, Nintendo actually pulled the UK reveal of the game out of respect due to the title feeling a little bit insensitive. Chibi Robo Ziplash. Chibi Robo Ziplash is hailed as being one of, if not the worst games of all of Nintendo. Made popular by Scott the Woz, Ziplash was said to be the revival or next chance for the Chibi Robo series. But pretty much every single thing that made the Chibi Robo series stand out was all abandoned and was instead turned into a slow, generic, boring, repetitive 2D platformer that has some of the most baffling game mechanics that I have ever seen in a video game ever made. I highly recommend watching Scott the Woz's video on it because he does a much better job at explaining it and going into full detail why it got so bad. Birdo's gender. The Mario character Birdo has had a weirdly large amount of discourse on what gender the character is. As of today, it's pretty common knowledge that Birdo is a female. Even by Nintendo themselves, they say that Birdo is a female character. However, in Super Mario Bros. 2, Birdo's first ever appearance, the manual for the game literally says, quote, Birdo thinks he is a she and spits eggs from his mouth. He'd rather go by Birdetta. However, as time has gone on, Nintendo has pretty much just dropped that entire side of Birdo's character and just lists her as a no gimmicks female, even pairing her up with Yoshi. The Year of Luigi. This one's just funny. The Year of Luigi was a promotional event that Nintendo held between March of 2013 and 14. The period of time was to celebrate 30 years of Luigi being a character, giving him exclusive games, merch, and several Easter eggs in other Mario titles. What makes the Year of Luigi so depressing yet funny to look back on is that the Year of Luigi was when Nintendo was at its financially worst. Major companies wanted nothing to do with Nintendo. Games were canceled. The President Satoru Iwata even took a major pay cut so that they could even afford to pay their employees. Nintendo's response to all this was to just say, who gives a shit? Luigi, baby! Waluigi in Smash. A huge meme that happened around the time of Smash Ultimate's launch was the rise of Waluigi in general becoming a huge meme. Everyone and they dad wanted Waluigi to be in Smash, to the point where supposedly Sakurai himself was harassed by people to include Waluigi in Smash Bros, making people go so far to believe that these two chairs behind Sakurai in a presentation was a subtle clue that Waluigi would be coming. This obviously never happened, leading to a huge universal... Well, damn. Super Mario Bros. 35. I mentioned this game earlier, but Super Mario Bros. 35 was a game that Nintendo made to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary. They revealed that the Mario 3D All-Stars game would have a limited time purchase. This pissed off everybody, but this could be interpreted as understandable considering it was a special event bundle. Mario Bros. 35, however, a brand new standalone game, was also just completely removed. While 3D All-Stars is still playable today if you purchased the game earlier, regardless of digital or physical, Mario 35's online server was entirely shut down, meaning it is fully impossible to play this game today, baffling everybody because the game itself was super well received and just in general had no reason to be removed aside from Nintendo just felt like it. Hentai games on the Nintendo eShop. For some ungodly reason, Nintendo has approved and actively sells games on the Nintendo eShop that are literally hentai related. For many elders watching this, that's porn. The overly safe, child-friendly, strict as hell Nintendo has openly just allowed hentai games on their digital store. Not even under like an adults only section, it's just in full view. Alright lads, today is December 26th. I'm saying the date just in case they do take it down before I can get this damn video up. A little behind the scenes for you. Look, this is me writing this right now, what you just saw. Isn't that cool? Look at this vibe, you know, it's pretty nice. I wanted to put my money where my mouth is, and I want to actually go on the eShop and to see genuinely how easy it is and how quick it is to find one of these hentai games. So, recent release, dear God, is that f***ing one right there? Maybe not, but at least pretty damn close. Here's Kawaii Girl's Dashing Devil. You know, that oh, here you go. Yep, here's one. Holy hell. Oh, the entire thing broke. Dude, Nintendo's online store is f***ing jokes. What was that called? It was called like Special Desire or some shit like that. No, go back. He got Mario Odyssey and Minecraft next to this. Yeah, so like maybe like, what was it? Like 10 scrolls down, you get the actual just straight up word hentai. Hang on, where did that? There it is. Holy hell. Hentai Gallery Pure Desire. These are the photos to show the game. What the fuck? It's only $6. Let's just keep going, bro. There's no reason to stop. What the fuck is too many Santas? Actually, you know what I kind of want to do? I just want to see like a total. I'm just gonna type in the word hentai and just see what happens. Yeah, let's give it a try. Let's see how many great products that Nintendo has. 320 under hentai. Oh yeah. Hentai Secrets, Hentai Gallery Private Secrets, Hentai World Paw Collection. Oh, isn't this fun? Hentai Golf. Fuck it. Dude, it's just pages. Pages and pages of this shit. Yeah, you can't name your character Ass because that's not appropriate enough. But this is fair game. Super Hentai Puzzle. Not even hentai, that is just naked women. Hey, we got a boys version, muscular guys, very good. Hentai World is $15, bro. Princess Peach voice actress fired. Samantha Kelly, who voiced the character Princess Peach for 18 years, was one day fired without her even knowing. When Mario Kart World released, some fans noticed that Princess Peach sounded a little bit different. Samantha didn't even know that a new Mario Kart game was even in the works, and she was just straight up replaced without her even being told by Nintendo. She never even learned about it until she saw Peach in this new game, not voiced by her. Wii Music. Wii Music is an infamous inclusion in the Wii series of games, often seen as Nintendo appealing to their lowest common denominator of audience, as well as the game just being extremely lackluster regardless. The game is unfun, awkward, and just kind of embarrassing to even be playing. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Kid Icarus Uprising controls. After the character Pit was essentially reintroduced to the gaming world via Smash Bros., Sakurai took it upon himself to create the next official Kid Icarus game in the series. Before this, Pit looked like this and only made 2 appearances. Sakurai gave the character a new light by putting him in Smash Bros., thus creating an obvious huge excitement for this new installment that would later become Kid Icarus Uprising. Upon release, the game had great reviews and everyone loved it, but one flaw stuck out among everybody. The damn controls, bro. Your left hand is guaranteed to cramp when playing this game, due to how much is required. You have to both hold the 3DS, use the stick to aim, and press the left shoulder button to shoot, while your right hand constantly uses the touchscreen. It was so bad that even a stand was included in the bundle to hold your 3DS just to make it easier to play. But like, if you gotta do all this, surely something's wrong. The King Kong lawsuit. In 1982, Universal sued Nintendo, claiming that the character Donkey Kong was a direct ripoff of the character King Kong, which, like, no shit. But Nintendo was able to clap back by using Universal's own words against them. Universal had claimed that King Kong was a public domain character, aka being free to parody or copy. Nintendo won the lawsuit due to this, and Donkey Kong has existed ever since. As a thank you to all of this, Nintendo named the character Kirby after their lawyer in the case, John Kirby. How about that? Etika Joy-Cons. This one's just fucking sad. Hardcore Nintendo fan Etika was a Nintendo YouTuber and streamer known majorly for his presence in the Smash Bros. Community. However, in mid-2019, Etika would pass away at the age of 29 due to taking his own life. A fan of Etika by the name of Captain Alex would later honor Etika by selling his own custom-made Etika-themed Joy-Con controllers, even with the title Joy-Con Boys on the controllers, which is what Etika referred to his fans as. Nintendo, being the shit-licking company that they are, sent a cease and desist to Captain Alex for selling his own Etika controllers. This sparked an obvious outrage, and the controllers have been gone since. Fuck you. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Chibi models. The 2 games, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, sparked a near-instant debate among fans for its chibi cutesy art style. The art style was said to mimic the older games in the series and pay homage to them, being very much more marshmallow-ish. But some fans found the models both ugly and inconsistent with current titles, leading to many a baby rattles to be shooketh. Xenoblade Boob Slider. Get this. The Japanese version of the Nintendo game Xenoblade Chronicles X had the option in the character creator to adjust the character's breast size. Yup, the feature would be removed in the US and UK because they suck, but they wouldn't stop Nintendo from just giving every fucking character in the series extremely large titties anyway, which is what its sequel Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is known for. The worst case of this, however, is this character, Dahlia. Dahlia is an unlockable companion character in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 who is controversial due to her very over-the-top design. And I mean, like, come on, Wii Fit obese. To lighten the mood, since this layer of the iceberg so far, we've primarily discussed titties and suicides, Wii Fit actually came under some scrutiny for flat out calling players obese. If you don't know, Wii Fit is literally a fitness game that requires exercise to play, and includes a BMI scale in the game. People refer to the game as body shaming. Pussies. And supposedly even left parents to call Nintendo offended that they were called obese in the game, which I have not fact checked solely because I don't want to, and I would rather much that just be true because it's funnier than shit. Punch-Out Stereotypes. Punch-Out is a game where you play as the character Little Mac and fight a boxer from several different countries from around the world. What made it controversial is the fact that every single nationality shown in the game is a pretty much direct stereotype of that country. The French character is shown in cutscenes with baguettes and has croissants fly out of him when he gets knocked out. The German character has a military theme to him. The American is extremely flamboyant and gay. The South Pacific character is obese, which the South Pacific is known to have a high obesity rate, as well as being covered in pineapples and bananas when he's knocked out. The Japanese character bows before fighting you, reads manga, and has sushi fall out of him. Shall I keep going? I will. The Canadian is a lumberjack who chugs maple syrup and plays hockey. The Indian is represented as a f***ing genie who rides a magic carpet and wears a turban. The Spanish guy bullfights. The Irish guy is an aggressive trash talker with red hair who has 4-leaf clovers around his gym. And the Russian guy is jacked as hell and chugs alcohol. Holy shit, it's obvious why Punch-Out hasn't had a new game in 20 years. Skyward Sword E3 2010 demo. When the newest installment of the Legend of Zelda series, Skyward Sword, was showed off at E3 2010, the demonstration showed off live gameplay and showed players actively what they should expect. The live presentation showed players a laughably unresponsive motion control gimmick that barely worked on stage, leading to the entire event just feeling incredibly awkward. Ocarina of Time Islam reference. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was heavily censored in future releases due to several religious references and coincidences. The Fire Temple, for example, straight up uses audio of an Islamic chant. Not only that, but the symbol for Gyuado in the game, which now looks like this today, but back then was this, the literal symbol of Islam, but flipped. Metroid 2 Remake. A Metroid fan by the name of Dr. M64 created a port of the game Metroid 2 for PCs. The port of Metroid 2 was seen as extremely faithful and was adored by fans and took years to create. However, in signature Nintendo fashion, the creator would be sent to cease and desist for the game and would be legally forced to take it down. Metroid Prime Federation E3 2015 trailer. During E3 2015, Nintendo would reveal the trailer for Metroid Prime Federation. It would be met with almost immediate backlash due to it being a co-op spin-off of the Metroid series instead of an actual new mainline Samus game. What fueled the fire was its long hiatus since the last installment. So after several years of waiting for a new installment, seeing something that lacked almost everything that made a Metroid game a damn Metroid game sparked an immediate controversy. The YouTube upload of this trailer is one of the most disliked YouTube videos on their entire channel. Nintendo never discounts games. This is a pretty broad piece of general knowledge that unlike studios like PlayStation and Xbox, Nintendo just never discounts their game even if they are old. If a game released for $60, it would still be released for $60 15 years later. Sometimes they even get a higher price as time goes on. The Nintendo Creator Program. In 2015, Nintendo had the genius idea to screw over all YouTubers who created videos about their games. Let's Players, reviewers, everyone was affected by this. If you uploaded a YouTube video that featured Nintendo footage during this time, you would immediately get a copyright claim on your video unless you joined the Creator Program, where they would automatically take between 30 to 40% of your income of your video. This is Nintendo, by the way. In case you didn't hear, let me rephrase this shit. They would take your money for promoting their game. This obviously led to a major decrease in YouTube videos about Nintendo, aka less free promotion that they for some reason wanted to tax, leading them to take back this decision and put an end to it a few years later. Emulation. Spooky. Emulation as a concept, hell, as a word, is enough to put the fear of God into every Nintendo business suit bastard to ever live. Nintendo has made it fully aware that they will stoop to the lowest levels possible to stop emulation, shutting down conventions, cease and desisting individual people, and essentially treating emulation as the worst possible thing you can do. What makes it so pathetic on Nintendo's end is that the people only really seem to emulate games that they themselves no longer sell. Nintendo will refuse to sell a game, but then will make your life a legal hell for figuring out a way to play it. Nintendo can't stand it when you play their games.
I do believe I would like to purchase one Game Boy game. It's no longer possible to make Nintendo eShop purchases for Wii U and 3DS. What? But I'm willing to pay you. Here. Nope, no purchases allowed. I'm trying to be a good paying customer. Why not put the games on Switch? They aren't available on Switch. Don't you have a Switch eShop? Yep. So you could make your legacy content available there at any time? Yep. I'd like to purchase those games on the eShop with my money, without resorting to piracy, which you so thoroughly despise. So you should make them available for Switch. That makes sense to me. Then do it. We currently have no plans to offer classic content in other ways and also don't pirate our games.
Billy Mitchell, this loser. If you don't know, Billy Mitchell is the individual who temporarily had the world record high score on both Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. His world record and accomplishments would later be revoked when it was revealed that he cheated to get those scores and use an emulated version of those games that allowed for tweaks and hacks to be made. Billy would then double down and show his little pussy bitch side by famously suing anyone and everyone who publicly called him a cheater. Regular Show would even make an entire episode about Billy Mitchell losing his high score at an arcade game due to the two main characters, which obviously led to a lawsuit to Cartoon Network. Billy has since been just pretty much nothing more than just a pathetic joke in the gaming scene and nothing but a dirty cheater, a loser, someone who cheats, someone whose accomplishments were a ruse, a bitch, a cheater, and a bitch. Nintendo created PlayStation. This is just actually true, like legitimately. Before the PlayStation even existed, Nintendo partnered with Sony to make a disc reader attachment for the SNES. Nintendo and Sony would announce this partnership, and Nintendo would betray Sony by partnering with the company Philips to also create a disc reader, leading to all of the work that Sony put in getting just left in the dust and left behind. Sony was furious over this, and with the knowledge that they just spent all their money and time learning, they said, "Fuck you guys, we'll just do it ourselves." They then used it to create the PlayStation. Nintendo's greed and impatience caused them to create one of their biggest competitors to ever live, the Mario movie voice cast. When the Super Mario Bros. Movie was revealed in a Nintendo Direct, the entire internet all simultaneously lost their in laughter when Nintendo revealed the voice cast of the movie. With the out-the-gate bombshell that Chris Pratt would be voicing Mario, Jack Black would be Bowser, and the kicker being Seth Rogen playing Donkey Kong. It honestly felt like a joke that somebody would make to be like a funny hypothetical, and it got even worse when Chris Pratt's Mario voice was revealed to just be Chris Pratt's voice.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come!
First, of course,
the
is
fuck?
Mario, who will be played by Chris Pratt.
What? What the
Bowser
fuck?
will be played by the one and only Jack Black. I'm expecting a monster performance by Jack's son. Even though this is a Mario movie, Donkey Kong will also be making an appearance. He will be played by...
The Raw Crab Incident. I'm gonna just let this title card linger a little bit just so it sinks in what I'm talking about. The Raw Crab Incident. Yep, you should subscribe too. The Raw Crab Incident refers to a moment at the end of a Smash Brothers tournament where player Hungrybox had a raw crab thrown at him after defeating player Mango in the grand finale, which led to this reaction.
Who the fuck threw this? Who threw this at me? Fuck off, dude. Fuck you. Why would you throw something? Right in my fucking face. You know how hard I work on here?
Steve's meat. When Steve was added to Smash Bros., one of his victory screens featured him eating a piece of meat and holding it. Some people turn this into a naughty joke, saying that it looks like Steve is holding his dick. This joke spread so far to the point Nintendo caught wind of it, causing them to later patch the game to remove Steve's meat from his hand after he's done eating it. Wario, oh my god. In the Japanese version of Mario Party 1, Mario would say oh my god when something unlucky happened. This later was replaced with "Do I Missed" in the US version and all future sequels.
So I missed. Oh my god!
Bayonetta 2 over-sexualization. When Bayonetta 2 was first released, a few news articles and skeptics pointed out how overly sexual the Bayonetta series is, especially with this new second game. However, after the release of Bayonetta 2, an M-rated game, nobody gave a shit. Wigger Wednesday. In 2015, Nintendo made a tweet that said, reply for Waluigi Wednesday. Reply with the flower emoji for Wigger Wednesday. This being an obvious typo of the character's name Wiggler. The tweet was immediately taken down due to the fact that Wigger is technically a pseudo slur for a white person pretending to be black. You're so cool Paper Mario lawsuit. In commercials for the game Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Nintendo used the song You're So Cool from the movie True Romance. The studio behind True Romance, Morgan Creek, would sue Nintendo for using their song. The lawsuit was dropped almost immediately, however, when Nintendo revealed that they had paid for the license to use the song. Fire Emblem Fates Cheat Caress. In the Japanese version of the game Fire Emblem Fates, there was a minigame where when in your private quarters with another character, play a little minigame where you caress their cheeks and give them head pats. Can you see why no one gives a shit when characters from this kind of game are put in Smash Bros? This weird feature was implemented as a way to boost your relationship with said character. When the game was ported out of Japan, this feature was removed entirely. The Mythra clothing update. In Smash Bros, when the character Mythra was added to the game, her in-game design and artwork was slightly changed due to her original appearance having a lot of revealing skin. In Smash Bros, all of these were covered. Kirby with a gun deleted scene. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but in the Kirby animated series, there was a scene that featured Kirby using a gun and shooting uncontrollably inside of a police station. This scene would be removed for pretty obvious reasons. The Wind Waker reveal. When Nintendo revealed footage of The Legend of Zelda for GameCube as shown here, fans were overjoyed from how cool, clean, and overly detailed it was, sparking immediate excitement and wonder at how amazing a GameCube Zelda game could look. Fast forward a little bit to the GameCube Zelda game Wind Waker being revealed, and it looked like this. This spawned an immediate outrage from fans, claiming that the art style is way too kiddish and cute, and may even mark the downfall of the series, especially with how amazing that first look at Link in action with GameCube graphics was. Wind Waker was then released to amazing reviews, and everyone later accepted the cute art style with open arms. Ash versus Elaine backlash. The Pokemon anime had one of its most disappointing and bullshit battles in the entire show when Ash went up against the character Elaine. This was the culmination of an entire season of the show, where Ash was literally the strongest he has ever been with a fully evolved team. The entire season was spent learning and mastering the bond phenomenon so that Ash and Greninja can use it to its fullest. But after many episodes of build-up, the finale ended with Ash losing the fight over a bullshit way, rendering the fight and the entire season of progress useless and frustrating. I have no idea what I'm even saying, by the way. I had to ask the Pokemon Reddit for help understanding this one. I just knew that it was a big deal, so I included it in the chart. E3 2008. Just as a whole. Nintendo's conference at E3 2008 was one of the company's absolute worst and most underwhelming events that they have ever had. Essentially what happened was Nintendo pretty much just made an ass of themselves by revealing games and content that not only just nobody asked for, but also looks just downright pathetic, especially when compared to the competition. There was no Mario game announced, no Zelda, no Metroid, no Kirby, nothing. Everything Nintendo revealed to the public was more of the Wii brand series of games, including the infamous Wii Music, and so much more that no one cared about. This was PlayStation's E3 2008.
Struggle for the very survival of mankind. This struggle that has now reached across the shores of our homeland. This struggle, ladies and gentlemen, may now be forever lost.
This was Xbox's.
From Friday to Monday,
This was Nintendo's. Mr. Game & Watch Native American. Mr. Game & Watch's forward smash attack in Smash Bros. Features a character donning a Native American feather on his head, as this attack is a reference to the game Fire Attack, where you defend your fortress from characters with feathers on their head. In late 2018, this feature was removed outright, and the feather no longer exists today. The Burger King Pokemon toy. In December 1999, Burger King faced a huge backlash for its partnership with Nintendo due to a certain toy given out in kids' meals. The Pokeball capsules was a serious suffocation hazard for children under 3. The halves of the Pokemon could cover a small child's nose and mouth, meaning when they breathe, it would stick to their face like a vacuum. Burger King launched a major recall of the toy, even making commercials asking those who have one to discard them immediately. Beauty and the Beach. This entry is in reference to a banned episode of Pokemon that featured a large amount of all kinds of shit. For starters, there is an old man character who creepily stares at Misty and blushes, and is just a weird, horny-ass dude. Misty's 10, by the way, I think. As well as the character James getting fake titties that he just has throughout the entire episode. Pokemon Jinx. The Pokemon Jinx has had a character redesign due to a highly offensive and pretty damn obvious reason. When the character was first introduced, she was given pure jet black skin and huge lips. I don't need to explain to you what the problem is here. She would later be slightly altered to be purple following this big change. Animal Crossing Space Buns, dude. This one, man. Twitter user Stardew Leaf posted this image showing off her Animal Crossing character and her new art style with the caption, "Cute Space Buns." Twitter being Twitter went into immediate outrage over this, calling Stardew Leaf racist for using a black person's hairstyle on her white character. The hairstyle is known as Afro Puffs and is meant, in quotes, for black girls, spawning multiple tweets from people. Ma'am, they are not space buns, they're Afro Puffs. They are meant for black girls. Us white girls cannot use them, and I advise you change them before it's too late.
She shouldn't be wearing space buns if she's white, simple as that. Can you please stop being racist?
That's not space buns, they're Afro Puffs for black people, not you.
These are for people of color. Not people of color. Please stop using them. This represents us, not you.
This all led to Stardew Leaf sending an email to Nintendo directly to get their own thoughts on the situation. Nintendo actually responded by saying, "In-game content such as clothes, hairstyles, etc. are meant for every human being, no matter what race, age, etc. Therefore, we advise you to not let other people's opinions affect you, and enjoy your game as long as it is with good intentions." Calculator. On a much lighter note, Nintendo has been made the butt of the joke for a little bit due to them releasing a calculator application for Nintendo Switch. Not a necessarily really bad idea, I guess, but what made it so bad is that it costs $10. You know that thing that everyone has on their phone for free? Well, if you want it to be on the same device that you play Mario Odyssey on, $10, champ.
Okay, hi, this week I'm reviewing this game I found was part of my computer. It's not as good as Minesweeper or Solitaire, but it's worth a shot. Okay, so I'm just loading up the game now. Okay, it's called Calculator. You take your character and you pick up a pair of binoculars and you spot the treasure marked by the X, obviously. But be careful, because as soon as you get the treasure, there's this snake thing. But it's okay, because you can pick up the X or the bow or the arrow and kill it. Then see what you've got. Hey, I got a new high score!
Mario 3D World BP. Once again, just gonna let this one linger. Let it sink in. All right, let's proceed. This is just a stupid one. In Mario 3D World, there's a bridge that can be activated, and once done, makes the shape of a dick, even with the letters PP on it. Absolute class of an entry. Mii's not the focus in Nintendo Switch Sports. When Nintendo released the Wii Sports successor, Nintendo Switch Sports, fans were disappointed to see Nintendo essentially drop the Mii's from the game, instead doing a new type of character, which are these things. I say these things not because they're like inherently bad in concept, but the fact that the unbelievably limited amount of customization allowed with these new characters. This is what my personal Mii looks like. This is the closest I can make in Switch Sports. Nintendo did give the option to use Mii's in the game, which everyone universally just does. The German restroom Nintendo Switch ad. Nintendo released a commercial for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in Europe that became the talk of the town for a period of time. The commercial opens with the dude taking a shit. even putting the camera between his legs. Fucking awesome. That's really it. Animal Crossing Walbert. Walbert is a secret character said to be in Animal Crossing New Horizons that has the appearance of a mouse, but with a scary ghost-like face. It's said that the character Walbert is actually a bug in the game, and talking to Walbert will crash your game and corrupt your save file. The rumor of Walbert started to spread pretty much at the exact same time that it was revealed to be a hoax created by the YouTuber JacksFilms. You're gonna need a pair. When Nintendo released Mario Strikers for the Wii, they had the idea to make the game have a bit more of a mature and violent rating and atmosphere behind it. When promoting the game, they accidentally took it a bit too far by unveiling what is now a rejected ad, showing 2 soccer balls in a net with the caption, "You're gonna need a pair." Nintendo making a ball sack joke for their upcoming Mario soccer game is both the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, but the most badass in every way, shape, and form. I want this as a real poster, dude. Vodka Draginski. The Punch-Out character Soda Popinski was originally named Vodka Draginski. Going back to the stereotype entry from before, can you guess what country he's from? Super Hornio Brothers. In 1993, to coincide with the live-action Super Mario Brothers movie, 2 pornographic films featuring Mario, Luigi, and Peach were created. Since this technically doesn't go against any copyright laws due to it being labeled as a parody, Nintendo actually bought the rights to these 2 pornos so that no more could be made.
The one that gives all of this purpose is that since he was legally claimed by
Nintendo,
it is officially canon that
Mario
was a struggling rapist all along.
WarioWare Touch, Ashley lyrics. WarioWare Touch for the Nintendo DS caused a small satanic panic when it first released due to what is said to be a hidden satanic piece of dialogue in a character's theme. The character Ashley, who is literally a demonic witch type character, has a theme song that plays in the game, which sounds like this.
Who's the girl next door living in the haunted mansion? You better learn my name goodbye and Ash, please. She holds the darkest spells and she brews the sweetest potion. You might be the ingredient I seek.
But when you speed it way the hell up, it fully makes the sentence, "I have granted kids to hell."
I have granted kids to hell.
Tamagotchi Life removes same-sex relationships. In Tamagotchi Life for the Nintendo 3DS, there were no options and no ways in the game to have your characters have a same-sex relationship with each other. Fans ended up finding a glitch in the game that allows you to do this. However, Nintendo caught wind of this glitch and went out of their way to patch it. Based as f***. Once controversy and backlash hit Nintendo, they never did this again, and in future releases like Miitopia and Tamagotchi Life 2, same-sex relationships were allowed. South Park Game Boy Color. The Nintendo Game Boy Color was actually going to have its own exclusive South Park game, being one of, if not the first ever Game Boy Color titles to be rated M. The reason for its cancellation was actually due to the South Park creators themselves, Trey Parker and Matt Stone feeling like the game being sold on a Game Boy Color wouldn't really fit with its dominantly kid-friendly market. Didn't stop the N64 though. Several screenshots of the game exist and is even playable through certain emulators. However, a public release was never given. And instead of scrapping the game's contents entirely and wasting all of the work that went into it, the game engine, sprites, and the code were all reused to make Maya the Bee and her friends and the new adventures of Mary, Kate, and Ashley. Miitopia given M rating in Russia. We sort of somewhat just talked about this earlier with Tamagotchi Life, but the Nintendo game Miitopia was actually given an M rating in Russia due to the game allowing same-sex relationships. The more specific reason was that it actively went against Russia's law of showing non-traditional relationships in content directed towards minors, giving the game an adults-only rating instantly. Inkling Up Yours gesture. When the Inkling characters were added as new characters in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch, the Inkling had a controversial item hit animation that had to be removed from the game. The motion was the Inkling putting her fist in the air with a hand resting on the bicep. This motion that the character does is actually a sign to signify saying up yours or f you in different parts of the world. Essentially, the middle finger is what this gesture is in certain parts of Europe. And here she is just popping it off on Ribbon Road. Curvy Isabelle mod. When Animal Crossing's New Horizon 3.0 was being released, a certain mod made the rounds on the internet and Twitter where all it does is give the character Isabelle more curvy features. That's about it, really. Spark the Electric Jester. This is the entry on the Iceberg I'm probably the least confident on in what I'm actually talking about, but I saw some people say this on Reddit, so I figured I would include it. Spark the Electric Jester is a fast-paced indie platformer created by Prosafia Gaming. What makes it a bit bizarre, at least from an outsider standpoint like myself, is that the game is pretty obscenely obvious a ripoff of Sonic, especially Spark 3, which, like, here's Sonic. Uh-oh. Here's Spark. Some people call it a full-blown ripoff, while others say that it's just heavily inspired by. Another reason for its inclusion on this Iceberg was its eShop refusal. When Prosafia Games submitted Spark to be released on the Nintendo eShop, Nintendo denied them and never gave a reason. But they allowed porn though. The creator of Sonic himself even played the game and made a statement about Spark, praising the game and saying that they will study it for their own future Sonic titles. Donkey Kong Country Show original scripts. The motion capture TV series based on Donkey Kong Country could and probably should have been its own entry on the Iceberg, just for how bizarre, weird, cheap, and just nuts it is. But apparently it was supposed to be even more so. Supposedly when the show was first being written, the writers team consisting of 10 people all decided to include an onslaught of sexist, racist, and homophobic jokes in the show. These original scripts got so far in development that the storyboards were even made based around them. The 10 writers were ended up fired, but since the storyboards were already created, they needed to make brand new stories and dialogue based on already completed drawings and storyboards. None of these original scripts have been made public to this day.
Ever since Candy cut my hair and told me she wanted to make me her little love slave.
Project Hammer racism. Project Hammer, later renamed Machine X, was a canceled game for the Wii, infamous for its toxic behind the scenes. When the Western developers expressed their frustration and doubts on the game, claiming it was simply just an unfun mess, they were ignored entirely and heavily disrespected constantly by Japanese Nintendo overseers simply because they weren't Japanese, and therefore were undermined and were never given a voice. Former developers stated that if you weren't Japanese, they would just disregard anything you said outright. The disrespect given to the development staff and the fact that the game never really found its footing to begin with caused the development team to all quit almost simultaneously. Pokemon Uranium. Pokemon Uranium was a fan-made Pokemon game that took 9 years to make and was made entirely by 2 die-hard Pokemon fans and coders. The game was fully finished and includes several new Pokemon as well as some returning, and it just looked incredible. When the devs sent Pokemon Uranium over to Nintendo for a possible official release or eShop release, Nintendo instead sent them a lawsuit for plagiarizing their work. Yep, racist Gengar. In 2009, the official Nintendo store held an event to promote Pokemon Platinum, where players could come to the store physically with their Nintendo DS and receive a download that gives you a special exclusive new Pokemon with custom names, abilities, etc. However, when players did this, they received a Pokemon known as Gengar, whose nickname and abilities would all be tampered with. The name of the Pokemon was literally just the hard R N-word, and the abilities of the Gengar were all black people stereotypes, featuring moves such as Thief, Sucker Punch, and more.
Okay, this is the racist Gengar from Nintendo World.
And if you look closely, the moves are even more racist.
Yeah, apparently somebody hacked their the event in Nintendo World. Look closely, and these.
Look at the name. At the event.
Look at the name, the moveset, everything.
And the movesets are even more racist. Black people are thieves, snatchers. If they're drunk enough, they can use sludge bomb.
Sucker punch, sludge bomb, snatch. That's fucked up.
Look at his ability.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, look at its ability. Truant?
Truant.
Oh my god, that's definitely a hack.
That's definitely a hack.
Oh my god.
Let's say,
who the hell did this?
It knows classic.
Fucked up beyond
the racist Gengar.
That's the most racist Gengar in the whole universe.
Thanks a lot, Nintendo.
Nintendo didn't do this. Some evil alcoholic man came in here, or woman came into the event and hacked one of the displayed DS's. A terrible thing has happened today. Someone has tried to ruin the fun and joy. Yes, it was funny, but at what cost? What cost?
Is no longer
Pokemon Eye Candy. This one is fucking crazy, dude. It blew my mind when I first heard this. So you know how in the Pokemon show, every single generation introduces a new female protagonist to go alongside Ash in their adventure? Well, according to a former Pokemon anime art director, he states the reason behind this. The reason being, and I quote, "Boys need a new piece of eye candy to look at every once in a while." Mad. Nintendogs caused a real-life dog attack. This one's wholesome. So in September of 2010, the video game Nintendogs was blamed for a real-life dog attack in the UK, where a 9-year-old girl was attacked by the family dog while she was playing Nintendogs. The incident occurred when the game's barking mode reportedly spooked the dog, causing it to attack the girl. She needed to get immediate medical attention and reportedly needed to have her lip reattached. Welcome to the bottom of the iceberg, jackass. Mario Kart GP shooting picture. Oh my god, I'm not making this shit up, man. Oh my, this is real. If you know about crazy Nintendo trivia, you should already know something about this because it is very well known, but it's at the bottom of the iceberg for, let me repeat, Mario Kart GP shooting picture. Mario Kart GP is an arcade version of the Mario Kart 8 series that can be seen at places like Dave & Buster's, Chuck E. Cheese, etc. When breaking into the code of the game, a small series of hidden images were discovered. This color pattern was seen, this screenshot of an expo event in Japan in 2005, and also an image taken from the Beslan school hostage crisis, where a terrorist attack occurred on a school in Russia in late 2004. This photo, for some unexplainable reason, is just in the data of this Mario Kart arcade game. Nobody knows why. Zelda 3rd Dungeon Swastika. Me, like, come on. In the Legend of Zelda game for the NES, the 3rd dungeon in the game that you can visit is in the shape of a swastika. I guess. Joe Biden, Animal Crossing Island. In 2020, during the Trump versus Biden political race, the Biden administration went so far as to create an entire Biden-Harris themed Animal Crossing island players can visit to help promote their campaign. What makes it kind of funny is that the island itself is actually not bad and is like really well made and designed. Splatoon typical Friday night. What might be the most vague and unknown entry on this entire iceberg is Splatoon typical Friday night. I have researched this entry to hell and back because I remember seeing it a bunch of years ago, but I cannot find it anymore today. Like, I couldn't find it even for this video. I cannot find this damn comic. So please forgive me if I have not a lot of info to go off of, but to be fair, I don't think you want to have the info about it. Splatoon Typical Friday Night is a, I want to say, lost porn comic about Splatoon. But what made it so controversial and fucking hilarious is that it was a scat porn comic. Trying to research it today just gives you a bunch of unrelated results related to Friday Night Funkin', making the search for it very difficult. Technically meaning that this Splatoon poop porn comic is lost media, and that's something. The Wii Piss Contest. The final entry on this iceberg is one of the most underlooked and most insane Nintendo-related controversies that I think I've ever seen. In 2007, a Sacramento radio station held a contest called Hold Your Wii for a Wii, where contestants would participate in a hands-on hard body contest to win a brand new Wii. The goal of the contest was to be the one who lasted the longest without taking a piss while drinking as much water as possible. Jennifer Strange, a mother of 3, received second place in the competition, just short of winning the whole thing. A few hours later the same day, Jennifer would call in sick to work and would later pass away in her bathroom due to severe water intoxication. Jennifer's husband would go and sue the radio station for the event, claiming that it was a preventable outcome. The radio station clapped back, saying that exact same thing. It was a preventable outcome, claiming that Jennifer had months in advance to know the potential consequences of participating in the event, yet still chose to. The court ended up ruling in favor of Jennifer's husband. And so, my boys, that concludes the Nintendo Controversies Iceberg. I want to thank everybody for watching, and if you made it this far in the video, I want to give you just a big old double thank you to this. This video has taken me so long to make. I've been working on it for like 7 months, I think. I did take a huge break, but that's not even counting the break. I have a previous Iceberg chart video all about Sly Cooper that if you would like to see more of that kind of content, I have a big one for you right there. And I have plans to make a lot more of these videos in the future, more frequently as well. But for the meantime, I'm lit off right there. So if you enjoyed this kind of content, then the buttons are down there. You know what to do, and have a good one. So goodbye. See ya!